like I was saying before, this is a roundtable conversation with some of the sniper Hall of Famers. You guys have gone through the sniper program and you've gone through the coaching. You've had some ups, but obviously you've had a lot of downs, and I want to be able to just uncover what those issues were when you first joined, why you came, and yeah, and how did your training evolve through the program. And yeah, we will be good to get some questions from the other snipers as well coming in the chat. So it's really much a very quite informal conversation. So let's start off with Louis. Like where were you at, before you joined? Like what kind of things were you struggling with? And just introduce yourself, like that. Where were you at before? Where are you at now? Like what have you actually managed to achieve since then? And then we'll just do a quick intro like that with everybody.
Yeah, cool. So obviously my name's Lewis. I've been trading for getting on 5, 6 years now. First 3 to 4 years was unprofitable, as most people's journeys, I believe. Um, yeah, my main struggles really was just sort of finding consistency. Like I'm quite an aggressive trader. I don't trade with a stop loss. And I just found it difficult to deal with the psychology behind obviously getting funded. And I'd had a few payouts under my belts before joining Rodrigo. But I'd probably say there was more lucky than actual consistent results.
Mm.
So since joining the sniper program, I was struggling at the start, as we mentioned to you, obviously, Rod. I was struggling to process the information on the course. I felt like there was too much information to consume at once. Um, but that was just down to the way that I learn things. I'm more of a hands-on learner. Like I don't do well with, watching videos over and over and stuff like that. Mine just goes blank.
Mm.
So yeah, obviously I had another separate call with coach, and then we sort of looked at a different way for me to move forward with that. And then I'd probably say the main changes that I made was probably very minor tweaks to my trading. Like I already kind of knew what I was doing, but it was just very small mindset changes that I needed to adjust. And obviously we needed to dial down the risk a little bit. But yeah, I started making very small changes in my trading. Having a coach there to remain accountable to, someone there to check in with at the end of the day. I felt like that was a big help for me because it kind of made me not do the dumb shit in the day when I knew that I had to report back to a coach later on in the afternoon. So I
Yeah.
feel like it was very, very small. I felt like I was quite close to becoming consistent, and then the sniper program just sort of confirmed that for me. It put me over that edge. I was trading CFDs, mainly just trade futures now. Currently trading around 35 accounts, all funded accounts for futures, and just trying to sort of dial in on the consistency really.
Nice, nice. So what kind of like concerns did you have before joining? And like what kind of metrics were you thinking, what I want to achieve these things. Like before you join, like if I can achieve these things, then the work program's going to be worth it.
For me, I think a big part of it was I was sick of just because obviously, as you guys probably know, the CFD evaluations they don't take they're not quick to do. To do them properly, you could be spending at least like 4 weeks on one, and they're quite expensive. So for me, it was like I had that I was impatient. I wanted it quicker. I couldn't go through with 4 weeks of going through the evaluation. Then there's another 2 weeks to even kind of get a payout before building a balance up. And I was just kind of lost with it because then I ended up just sort of like gambling through evaluations and just burning through them.
Mm.
So it only took a few calls really with obviously coach and stuff, and then having someone there to be accountable to, it kind of made me not risk as much. It's made me try and focus on the process over the profits, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah, when I
remember,
started making,
yes,
sorry, what
sorry,
was
finish what you're gonna say.
No, go on, it's all right.
I said, I remember 2 weeks into the program, you messaged me and you're like, Rod, don't think this is going to work for me. Uh,
Yeah.
I just can't get my head around this sniper matrix. Um, and then we hopped on a call
Mm, mm.
and how did well what if you remember that conversation, what if you can share with the others, like what did we go through in that conversation and then what happened next after that?
He basically ended up creating me like a refined, compiled version of the sniper program because at the time when I joined and I loaded the matrix up and I had all this information, I was looking at it thinking, man, I've got about 4 weeks of work to do before I even get started on this thing. So to me, it was like, where I was asking myself, like, where am I going with this? What am I doing? Have I made the right
Yeah.
decision? Have I questioned it? Like, am I going to see any results from this? Like, I want to get involved in it straight away because that's just the
Yeah.
type of person that I am. And I remember, obviously, like I say, a few weeks into it, I messaged you and I was like, this ain't for me, this. But yeah, we ended up giving me sort of a refined, streamlined version after I told you, what I was mainly struggling with at the moment. Do I really
Mm,
need to do everything that's in there, or can we just like
mm.
handpick areas out that are going to benefit me?
So what's been the your like your best sort of experience since joining? Like what kind of results have you had?
Um, but like payouts,
Yeah.
yeah.
Payouts,
So payouts have
psychological
just touched on
milestones.
200,000 in the past 12 months. But obviously, yeah, don't get me wrong. We all do this for the money, but for me, it's more about I was already making some money trading previously, but it wasn't with consistency, and I don't think it was by strategy, like a process dialed in. Whereas now, I have certain systems that I follow. Everything's sort of like um, systemized. Like
Yeah.
my trading systemized now, and it's easy. And I know exactly what I'm looking for on the charts. I know exactly what risk calculations I need to make depending on the accounts that I'm trading. I understand all the consistency scores that you need to meet for these future evaluations. Like it just seems streamlined and more systemized now than it was, rather than just coming to the charts and
Hmm.
hitting buy and sell. So I
Yeah.
think that the main benefit that I'm seeing in it is that I can kind of see it trading as more as a business now, rather than just something you do on the side. Like I've got a set of rules to follow, I've got a system to follow, I've got a process to follow. Like it's like coming to work, making sure all the boxes are ticked, making sure it's running smoothly in order to get the results that are obviously leading to consistent payouts.
That's it. Yeah. That's awesome. Really, really pleased that you've reached this point because you're now, you're running it as a business. It's not a casino anymore. It's not super emotional, super stressful. It's when things are systemized, then that means you can, like you said, it's almost like a job and
Yeah. And
you
don't get
become,
me wrong, I'm not trying to say I'm the best trader. I still lose 100%. I still go through evaluations. I still lose funded accounts. But
yeah,
what matters now is once you start seeing it as a business and you've got, income versus expenses, is there more money coming in than going out on evaluations? Yeah, there is. Well, that's fine. Like there's less emotions to losing accounts or losing trades now than previously.
yeah,
You get really hurt by losses.
yeah, yeah. Because when you lose or you blow accounts, when you've got these kind of payouts, man, it makes that pain worth it. So
Yeah.
it
And it's
is
just the same, like coming from a business background anyway,
yeah,
you understand that you have expenses in that business. You've got
yeah,
insurances, you've got materials, products to buy, you've got wages to pay.
yeah,
These are all evaluation fees in my eyes in trading. And
yeah,
it's just regular business expenses. As long as it's controlled and you
mm,
keep on top of it.
yeah. I would like to share this one actually. This one is you weren't doing so good this time.
Where's that?
This was October last year. This time last year. October has been my worst month all year.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Do you know what? And October's I feel like we've missed a month. September was a bad month for me this year, but it was similar
Okay.
sort of results.
So, I mean, it just goes to show that you can have bad months,
Yeah,
but
100%.
you can have fantastic years. You can actually come back from it as long as you have that systemized approach. So, yeah, really, really proud of you. Really proud of Gabriel as well. Gabriel's been a really positive influence as well, keeping you accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. If want to introduce the other guys as well. You guys have been very patient. Uh, let's go with Ryan. What's up, Ryan? Give us a
Hey,
little intro about yourself. We met back in January in Miami. So where
yeah,
where were you at then in your trading? Like what made you reach out to us?
yeah. I mean, I was totally lost, but I'm hearing some feedback noise if I
Let me
think from
try to fix that.
administrator. There you go. Thank you. Um, yeah, so for those who don't know, I met Rod in Miami. I actually went there because I joined JCap's group in November. And I didn't really know what to expect out of this event in Miami. And I think it was probably like one of the best decisions I made in my life. That's when I met Rod and he called me out in front of the whole group. I was obviously very eager, so I had a lot of questions, to a lot of the experienced traders there. And when it was sort of Rod's presentation, I just kind of like decided to just be vulnerable and kind of just say out loud like what my problems were, just like blowing up accounts and over leveraging, over trading, and just being completely lost with no payouts. And so yeah, Rod, invited me out to dinner and from there, obviously the change didn't happen right away. I got introduced to Jamie, and I think one of the things that really helped me was sort of like NLP techniques that really kind of it made me really take a step back from sort of like who I was like as a trader and my identity with like my losses. And I just learned like so many like interesting sort of techniques of like how I view myself and how I can get like different parts of myself to work together. That along with, the C game behavior analysis was really kind of what made me realize like what I was kind of doing.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, it's funny like right now like I'm having success in trading but also in like other aspects of my life, like health and fitness. And you really like when I first met Rod, like I couldn't even run like a mile, and now today like I'm training for a marathon and really being like at the bottom, being disgusted with your actions and who you are, like, and you really want to change, like that, all of that, like really like pushed me to like work on myself. And by doing like all of these things that I've learned from the program and all that, it made me realize that like I had no coping mechanism from trading. Trading's super lonely, right? Like you blow accounts, you you make the most stupidest decisions, like looking back, and obviously always in hindsight, right? And I had
mm,
like no coping mechanism. I couldn't talk about it with my friends, couldn't talk about it with my wife, obviously couldn't talk about my kid. And so like it pushed me to like balance my life more. So I would say that, like I think my life up until that point was fine. I was working a great 9 to 5. Had um, I think a successful like career, but trading humbles you, right? It just forced me down the gutter and really kind of put me through this really fucking complicated maze, right? Just so many like complicated emotions, and yeah, I came out of that like I would like to think that like I'm obviously still like working on some stuff, but I'd like to think like I only met you in January, Rod. Like it
mm.
honestly feels like 5 years to be honest. But just 10 months, like my life has changed so much. And so yeah, it's been a great journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean yeah, I started trading last year, and I think my sort of like trajectory in terms of my equity curve has really like exponentially like increased in the past 3 months. I think over the past 3 months, I think I'm 2 to 3 months, I'm close to like 200K right now. Um, and yeah, I'm not looking to slow down or anything. I'm diversifying that money towards a different strategy with selling
Mhm.
put options. And uh, I actually got laid off like 2 months ago, and it was a bit scary. If you look at my if you look at my TradeZilla, like September was a really bad month for me, just like with um, I think a lot of people struggled last month actually. And that again, like, when I didn't go like back to rock bottom or anything. Like I learned a lot on the way there. But that also made me feel like tremendously scared, right? Like losing my 9 to 5, really well-paying job, and then losing a bunch of money in trading again. And now October has been a phenomenal month for me. So yeah, I would like to say that like, obviously, the money is great, but I like to think also that my life and the balance of my life, and I think who I am as a person is I would buy myself a beer right now, right? Like it's a great feeling.
That's awesome, man. You That is amazing. Wait, Louis, you trying to say something? Sorry, Louis, you're on mute.
Working?
Yeah, it's working now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say well done. I feel like buying him a beer as well.
Yeah, come
Yeah,
to
man.
England.
Yeah, yes, I would love to.
Yo, come to England. No, that's it's fantastic. Like you've come a long way, Ryan. It's and I remember calling you out, and it was
Yeah.
really about being complacent, about just yeah, brutally honest. It was about laziness, like being very comfortable. You when you're in the comfort zone, it's very dangerous for a man, especially if you're trying to become a trader. You want to be a profitable trader. There's you can't be in the comfort zone. And I remember calling you out about it, and you were very honest about it. You were like, yeah, I, I am in the comfort zone, comfortable. You got a comfortable
Yeah.
job, comfortable lifestyle. And I was like, you ain't gonna make it. That's
Yeah, yeah. You did say that.
you're
In a
not
room.
you're
Yeah.
literally not in a room full of like
Yeah.
successful traders in Miami.
Yeah.
So you know
Yeah.
that, and I think that it- even during the program, you were there was still a lot of mistakes. Like there was still a lot of that greed and that desire to make money and that aggression. So
Mm.
what was like? You mentioned some of the NLP techniques that you use. Like what, give us an example of one of these techniques that helped you reframe how you were
Mhm.
thinking about making money, about greed. Because like your 200K in payouts,
Mhm.
and that doesn't come by accident. That's not luck. That's not gambling. So how are you reframing your aggression to then actually get these big payouts? Because you've had a crazy run recently. Like I can see here,
Mhm.
12K payout this month. You've had another 21K this, like you've had what, 30K plus this month?
Um, and probably a bit more than that. I haven't done the math yet. There's one more day in the month, Rod. So I'm gonna give myself an extra day to get those numbers up.
So yeah,
Um,
well, that's amazing.
yeah,
Congrats. So what NLP technique can you like sort of
yeah. I think one that was really powerful was the concept is called parts reconciliation. If you YouTube parts reconciliation NLP, you'll find some good videos on it. Um, but this is also something you discover in your C game behavior analysis because I think the gist of it was like for me, understanding like my greed and understanding my patience, um, how they really want the same thing, right? If you really like boil it down, like your greed wants money, your patience also wants money. A lot of the times there's conflict and tension and they kind of, work against each other, right? And I think doing that exercise made me realize like that you can kind of take a step back as like an observer and kind of watch them kind of negotiate or talk with each other,
hmm
have coffee together, right? Like I think you can like I myself I'm a pretty greedy person. Like I used to have a lot of gambling problems as well, which obviously spilled over into trading. And so instead of, being greedy with chasing price action, I'm now greedy with setups, right? Like I take, trades deeper in premium, deeper in discount. Um, I'm on the M1 time frame. Um, and I, yeah, when I was doing this exercise with Jamie, um, it was a bit emotional because almost to a point where like when it's a third person like kind of exercise where you kind of take a step back and realize like that you love both of these sides of yourself. They serve a purpose, but you never really kind of put them in the same room and kind of like have like a hangout with them, right? Like it's always seems like one is driving. Usually it's a greedy side that's driving your emotions, right?
Mm.
But yeah, you just kind of like in the technique in the exercise, kind of imagine yourself like kind of like sitting there having coffee with each other and visualizing, how they can come together and work together. Uh, there's probably a better sort of approach to it if you look at it on
Hmm.
YouTube, but yeah, it was quite powerful for me.
Nice, nice.
And then yeah, and then there was an you probably some of you have probably done this, but just like kind of doing the exercise of imagining yourself as like the worst version of yourself, the trader that's over leveraging, over trading, loading up accounts over and over, taking random trades and all of that. And then on the flip side, imagining, your future self, the person you want to work towards, the person that's has a lot of charisma, super successful, follows their rules, has a great, balance of everything. And looking like kind of oscillating the image of, that version of yourself and the other version of yourself and kind of like um I forgot I wouldn't know how to say like almost like you're kind of like swiping like to that successful version of yourself
Hmm.
immediately sort like to kind of like push away that the other version. Yeah,
Mm.
there's a whole exercise on it, but I don't want to butcher it. I probably already did, but yeah, that was super helpful or super helpful too.
No, it's yeah, the visualization of past, future self, or optimal self is really important. And there's many different visualization methods. And when you practicing these, it does help. Like, and one of the things that I'm really proud of is that, like, Ryan, you really did have a gambling problem. The last thing you should be doing is trading. And the fact that you were able to come to the program, you were able to actually overcome that and trading in a more systemized way, that's my team and I, we're very proud of the fact that we've been able to help you because it could have gone the other way. It could have been worse.
Yes.
And you got laid off 2 months ago. Like, imagine if you got laid off and you were still having those gambling tendencies and you just
Mhm.
blowing accounts, recycling them, a few payouts here and there, just purely out of luck. So yeah, that's something that I'm very proud of. And I want to continue to see you like really locking into your process. And I think that the fact that you can even run a mile before it means that, and now you're training for a marathon, this is the mindset. This is the where you have to push yourself, not only in your trading, you have to push yourself physically in the gym on, outside the charts. You go because you need to build this fortified body and mind because trading is hard. It doesn't get easier. It's just you just become resilient to the stress of it, to the pain of it, to the struggle. So
Mhm.
it's really good that you're improving not just your trading, but you're improving other areas of your life too, and making the necessary investments as well. So you're not just relying on income from your trading, you're
Mhm.
diversifying it. You're not
Mhm.
just using prop firms, you're trading options now too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the way to go about it. It's a you trading is a vehicle for self-improvement and for reaching your full potential as a man or a woman. Like, you is it physically, mentally, emotionally, you have to level up. And that's why so many people fail because they can't get out that comfort zone because it is very uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
even now, you guys are still making mistakes. You guys are
Yep.
still, you still have issues, but yeah, you've been crushing it, Ryan. Really, really proud
Yeah.
just to show some of your accolades.
Yep. I'll
Well,
just say one more thing, Rod. I view relationships in life. Most relationships involve transaction, and that's okay. But the best
Mhm.
relationships are transformational, and I'm super grateful. What you've built, Rod, and meeting you and everything that I've learned through the program. So I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome, and I couldn't have done it without my team. So this is not something I've built on my own. This is something that I've built with my team and also you guys. Like we improve the program, we make changes and adaptations based on you guys being transparent, on you guys. We fail together, we succeed together. You guys make us better in our coaching, in our trading. So this is something that I can't take credit for all of this. This is something that's far bigger than me. So but this was my vision. This is definitely my vision, and it's the vision is coming true. And and Gabriel, I've known Gabriel probably the longest out of everyone here. He was one of my first mentees. And I remember telling him my vision about what I want to build. And yeah, this is crazy. It's actually it's here. Um, so I'm very grateful to God for all of this. But enough of the emotion. We still got Tom and Ralph. So let's go with Tom. Tom, tell us about, what about your experience and yeah, what made you want to start the program because your journey was a little bit different to everybody. Can't hear you, Tom. I think everyone's muted. Hold on. Gabriel, if you can unmute Tom, please.
Yeah, I think that they should be able to unmute themselves right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. There we
All
go.
right, I think I'm off now. Yeah, I felt like a little child there. But but yeah, so my journey started, I've been trading for almost 20 years technically, in and out.
Mhm.
I learned some from my uncle who was a pit trader in Chicago. So my focus is more on short-term gains
Mhm.
equals long-term success. So I'm probably the only one here that uses VWAP. um, it's different when I see all these strategies, but I'll tell you, if you want to learn how to trade quick, trade a $5,000 account when you first start with minis. Yeah, you learn risk management quite quick. I was wishing that they had micros back then. But my story is I learned from him. I tried to because he was basically saying you need a secondary income in the long run and everything. So tried to do that over time. If you make 10-15% a year, great. But I mean, if you only have a small account, it doesn't really matter. My wife started a business, so I helped her start that. Started running with her. So over a 5-6 year period, I didn't do much. Then we started another business, and then COVID hit. So then we were kind of like conserving cash, so I wasn't trading much. And then I said, I'm going to get back into trading. And she said, only if you trade other people's money. And I'm like, how am I supposed to get a job trading other people's capital if I don't have a track record? And then I kind of looked online and I found about props, and I never heard of them before. So I got in a few. Well, I got in one, and I traded with them for a year specifically. And they're on a it's more of a trading program. Tried to become a trader for their hedge fund. Um, it's real now that I know from conversations with them. So that's one good thing. But they wanted me to go through this program because they saw that I could trade and I wasn't blowing accounts. My issue was when I got to the finish line, I tried to force it every single time. And I would be at a target, and then next thing I know, I'm back down to like 1% profit instead of five. And I think in my mind, sorry, my dog's whining. That was probably difficult because I mean you feel the success getting there, and then you get punched in the face and you get knocked back down, and then you're like, with businesses and everything, and just being older probably than most of the people here, time is more important than money. And when you do screw that up, where you just wasted 3, 4 weeks of your life to just not get anything out of it, when you're so close, was very mentally hard. So I started with this program, I think it was in April or so, and I started working with Marcus. And the good thing about working this program was you had the accountability, like other people said, but you also learn to not, it's not like having a buddy to talk to, but it's always that person over your shoulder, because you don't have just Marcus looking at you. You have like 3 or 4 other people looking at you, especially when you look in your little chats, specifically with the coach, because they're all looking at you. Because I've gotten messages from Gabriel, and I never even talked to him before, about how I'm doing, and he recommended me to talk to some people late recently about how I trade and everything. So it's there's a lot of eyes watching you, and it's really good because there's a lot of people that will kind of like say, stop, you're doing something wrong, let's talk this out first. um Payout wise, for me with running businesses, I only trade the first hour of the New York. Before, I was having an issue where I was kind of trying to trade in the afternoon with the chop, and I was just getting chopped out, and that's where most of my issues happened. So I really focused on trying to get that 1 hour, hour and a half each day, and that's it. No more. I don't trade in the Asian session, the European session. And I always try to tell those guys if I mess up like that. And they tell me, just keep on talking to us. And it's trader therapy. And everyone in this world pretty much has a therapist nowadays, or they should. So it's more of a therapy on trying to mentally, one, learn how to trade better, be smarter about it, but having someone there, just like how I believe Ryan said, he can't talk to his wife or his 2-year-old kid about trading, especially if he loses money, because the wife's going to say, well, you got to stop trading. Same thing with my wife. So I have no one to talk to, and the person who did help me is gone. So he would be the only person that understood any of this. And now I have a community that I can talk to with. And I think that was the most important thing for me, is to, you can go on Discord and see all these people saying they make all these money and all this stuff, and they're so good and they're the best in the world. But a lot of it, when you watch them trade, or just look at a chart when they trade, it's like these guys don't know what they're doing. So it's good to have someone where it's a group of people that are actually learning to trade correctly at like an institution level, and watching each other's back. And I think that is the most important part of this program. You'll learn how to trade, you'll learn how to be smarter, and you'll learn at one point, which how I do now is, yeah, it's money. But if you look at it as just a number, or you use it as a percent of gain per day, it makes the whole entire game so much easier, because you're not like, oh, I'm down 1,000, I'm up 1,000. Oh, 2/10 of a percent. Most people would say, oh, that's terrible. I'm like, well, that's great. You do that every day, it's a percent a week, and then it's 50% a year. So it's just the little mindset tweaks that I needed. And especially too with running businesses like other people said they do. Every single objective you take usually takes 3 to 6 months or anything. And in a trade, you can be done in 3 minutes. So it's that instant gratification makes you feel more confident each time, but it also makes you feel that you have to make yourself grounded by not being too overconfident. Because before I started here and I was in those programs, I started to get overconfident, and then I'd get to that target, try to force it. And since I don't have $100 billion to push the market up through the finish line, I'm not going to do it. And you realize that. And I think I started prop firms mainly the last 6, 7 months, and I probably had probably over 100 grand in payouts or so. I think I sent one last night. I did 12 grand from Funded Next. So it will happen for everyone. You just have to focus on the trading and focus on your weaknesses to trade and talk to your coach about it. Your strengths will always be there. That's why you always have to work on your weaknesses. And I work on that with Marcus every time I talk to him, even in the chat. And I'll tell you, with the Matrix, I looked at that thing. I said, I can't do that. I was like everyone else. I'm like, I really don't have the time, because after my first hour and a half of trading, I'm on conference calls, emails, calls with employees, uh, accounting, talking to the lawyer. I forgot what I did in the morning when I traded, so I can't even write that stuff down. So sometimes I just take screenshots and put it in my little coaching thing and say, this is what I did. And that's it. So, I mean, I know they look at me saying I probably put any information in that matrix, but a lot. But if you read through it and see what you have to do and understand everything in the matrix, it will be just as helpful as also writing it down as well, if you don't have that time or detail of putting it into the matrix.
Wow, what a journey. It's been 20 years, and it's there's so much to unpack there.
I'll tell you, my first trade I ever did on options with my uncle, who was the one that helped me out. I said, "Oh man, that market's going up. I'm gonna buy these calls right at the open." Put the order in. He's sitting next to me and he's smiling. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna make a lot of money." I put it in, put it at the open, buy at market at the open. And I was so stupid, I didn't realize that the spread was so big at the open that I was probably down $1 before once the spread kicked in. Yeah, I think I bought it like $5 and it ended up being at the high of the day, it was like 350. So the confidence part, or overconfident, or thinking you know more than what other people know, is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing that stood out was the mindset tweaks about the perception of numbers. Because when you get to the level that you're at, you can't have the typical or the average way of thinking about money, because it's mind-boggling. It really will put too much pressure on you. But when you said something about just being more like perceiving the small gains um more than, because it compounds over time. Like a
Yes.
lot of traders, they get very attached to the numbers, either on the fearful side and they get really stressed out because they're down a few percent, or on the greed side, they want more, right? But then how do you then how if you can dive a little bit deeper into how do you perceive the numbers? Because right now you've got like 3 million plus in funding, you've got another 600, 800K in challenges. You're managing a portfolio, many different prop firms, copy trading. Like how do you manage these numbers, and what is this sort of perception of of all this data, in particular, like when it comes to scaling and managing payouts and drawdown?
Yeah, for managing all the accounts, thank God for TradeSyncer. I mean, because I don't even look at all the accounts. I look at the one lead account and that's it. I'll have the TradeSyncer on, I'll flatten the accounts and cancel the orders and everything just in case nothing goes through. But I'm just looking at that one lead 150,000 account. I was taught that 10, 15, 20 points, you do that 3 times, all of a sudden you're up $1,000. So why push it anymore? Yeah, you have targets and stop losses, but they're there just as a worst case scenario to a point, I was taught, because you never, I mean, if you really try to hit your target every time, you're probably going to hit about 10 to 15%. Especially if you're being risk management wise, you're trying to move your stop and being smart about it and everything like that. If you just blindly put a trade in with a stop and a target, I mean, yeah, it's going to hit one of them at some point. So is that really trading? Is that being a skill? No. So the skill is understanding how the market moves. The market moves up and down because each index has at least 100 stocks in it that moves it. So you have 100 stocks moving up and down that moves that price. So is it going to go to your target every single time? No. And why stay in it longer when you're maybe 50% up to your target in 5 minutes instead of wait another 2 hours to possibly get to it and then wait for Trump to say something stupid and then you hit your stop loss? It's why be in there longer than you have to be when you can make some money right away. And you're not looking to be you're not trying to make, 100% of your target of your account every single day. You have to make that 0.2%, 0.3%. And that's why I kind of focus more on that, or as just it being a number instead of money. Because if you take away the money aspect of it and you just go by percentage, those small gains end up adding up. I mean, it's just simple addition. But when it comes to the managing all the accounts, yeah, I have it on a spreadsheet. I look at it once a week to see where I'm at. Basically, if it says I'm in, I can withdraw, I withdraw. I don't keep on adding it in, just trying to, get a huge payout. So I could put it on Discord or something like that. Once I can get a withdrawal, I'll take it. Just like the Fund and Next last night, that was the first time I did the evals, and then I did the 5-6 days that were required. I was up $8,500, and I took $4,000 out of each one, so it was $12,000. I mean, it's easy money if you just do it slowly. It really is, because I'm sure everyone here, even the people who are not on the roundtable itself, are good traders. It's all the mindset, and it's like every single thing you do in your life. You just have to be good at what you do, but you have to be confident enough to know that you can do it every single day. And when you do it every single day, that's longevity. And that's how like big companies become big companies. I mean, Amazon started in a garage and he didn't make $10 billion in the first year. I mean, it took him 30 years, but it was because it was nice and slow and steady. Yeah, he expanded and and globally, but I mean, you have to look at it as yourself. You're trading an account, and as you go up and you get more accounts because you're getting payouts, it just the power of compounding exponentially over time. Investing in yourself instead of a 401k or some type of retirement account. And this can be this will be a lot more profitable down the line than a retirement account ever will. For me, we have 3 businesses, and 10, 20, 15, 20 years ago, we were broke, we were poor, and now we have money and our companies are worth money, and hopefully one day we sell. But my biggest thing here for me is since she did all the work and doing all the work at the businesses, I want to come and start a career so I can trade and we can have that extra cash for her down the line, because everything costs a lot. We support her family, her parents definitely. We support my parents definitely. They don't have much money. So the more I make, the better it's going to be for my family. And that's why I do it in the long run. Nice. And that's why you have to think of it as a short-term gains equal long-term profitability, because it's for everyone else. It's not just for you and your glory of I'm the best trader in the world. I'm going to start a Discord server and put everything in there and say I'm the greatest thing, and I'm going to charge you $50 a month to follow my trades, things like that. I have no interest in doing that. No interest in doing that.
Wow. That's a lot of wisdom there, and we really appreciate you sharing all of that. So
yeah, I'm 46, so I'm older. I've been through a lot of stuff. I've been through a lot. So if you guys need anything, just message me. I'll message you back.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. And we'll go through Ralph, last but not least, and then we'll do some Q&A. We'll have a roundtable discussion.
Yeah, man. Hey.
Hey, Ralph.
And I don't really know where to start. To be honest, this whole year has gone by pretty fast. I think I messaged Rodrigo back in May or June 2024. Can't really remember top of mind, but I messaged him, and I don't know, some part of me still hesitated. I didn't join the program right away. I tried to do things myself until around September, and I think at that point I just reached some sort of like breaking point. Because I think I blew another 10 accounts, and prior to that, I just had no system. I knew how to trade, knew how to read price, but I didn't really have any structured or organized process. Never wrote anything down, never journaled. I was just doing all the wrong things basically. I was trading whenever I felt like it or whenever it looked like a good setup. Sometimes I take an unplanned trade on my phone just because I felt like it and just because I checked the charts, it looked good. And it's just basically no system, didn't know how to stop. I was undisciplined. I didn't know how to take a loss. Just all the common C games that you guys know. And essentially I was inconsistent and I couldn't figure things out. So I think by September of last year, I just reached a point when I said, I really want to make it in trading. And if I want to do this, I need to change. And at that point, I would say I was rock bottom and I was just so down. My wife would notice my energy, how down I was, even if I wasn't saying anything, because like as you guys were saying, you don't really have anyone to talk to about it. So there's no outlet, there's no trader therapy or anything like that. It's all just getting bottled up. So at that point of desperation, that's when I messaged Rodrigo again, and I was like, Rod, I really want to do this. I think I need help, and that's kind of how things got kicked off. And around September when I joined the program, I think it was really good that I had a 2-month vacation around October to November, and so it was easy for me to stop trading, which I really needed. And I think the main challenge for me was really looking at the sniper matrix and thinking like this is a lot of work. And for someone who doesn't journal at all, someone who doesn't track, someone who is unorganized, it was really intimidating. But I think the main thing was that I was just so deep in my pain, and I was just so I was just so sick and tired of failing at this, right? And just my own frustration led me and pushed me to do things that I never thought that I would. Like I hated backtesting. I I thought that I couldn't do the RTM, the SOPs and things like that. But for some reason, I felt like a deep energy pushed me to do that. So much so that even while I was in Switzerland, while I was in vacation, I would wake up maybe 5 a.m. just before my family would wake up so I can do the backtesting, do the 50 trades, so I can like progress in the program. And that's how committed I was. And I had that kind of mindset throughout the whole program, which that's why I'm saying that it was all such a blur because I felt like I was just head down and doing what I had to do. And then I don't know, a few months later at March, damn, I finally passed my challenges, and I passed it without gambling. I passed it without doing the stupid shit that I usually do. And at that point I was just thinking that okay, I've been here before, I've passed challenges. This is not really anything new to me. But then I've never reached a payout. I would always like pass challenges, but then I blow it eventually. And so I forced myself to just focus on the process, just do the right things, and then it will come. So at that point, I didn't care how long I was gonna take. My mindset was no matter if this takes me a year or two, no matter how many times I fail, I'm just gonna focus on doing things the right way, and just kind of kept holding on to that mindset. And then I don't know, the transformation just came. It just went by so fast. And I'm pretty surprised with how I developed over this past year, doing things that I don't usually do. I'm not training for a marathon like Ryan, but I just wanted to share that I hate running. I really do. It's one of the worst workouts for me. I hate the feeling that it gives me, but for some reason, since one of the things we focus on is, our habits outside trading, like who we are outside of the charts, I just focus on being the best that I can be, health wise, relationship wise. And so I'm very surprised that I run now every day. It's not much. I run for 15 minutes, but I do it every single day. And it's just I'm doing things that I never thought that I would do. I'm pretty early in my journey, but I'm just surprised at how much I grew and developed over this past year. And my achievements, I wouldn't think much of it. But just thinking about how far I've come, it's just a humbling feeling, and I never really would have thought that I would reach this point without Rodrigo and without Gabriel. Because prior to joining the program, I was just thinking, what if this is just another mentorship and I don't really get anything out of this? But no, it's really different. Like you guys were saying, it's different to have a community behind you and to have that accountability factor. I think that was the main difference that really pushed me to develop and to transform because I struggle with accountability a lot. I would make mistakes early on and I wouldn't want to share it because I didn't want to face my weaknesses. But Rodrigo told me that, hey man, I think that what you think is a weakness is actually your superpower. Accountability is a superpower because if you overcome that part, and if you share your weaknesses, then you're gonna deal with it. I mean, there's no way around it. It's either you deal with it or you don't fix it. So I think I just kind of leaned into, the advice of Rodrigo, the advice of Gabriel, and I just dug myself deep in the program and just pretty surprised, not really surprised about where I am now, but just surprised about how things go by so fast. So yeah, I mean, pretty much summing up my journey for this past year.
That's amazing, man. It's been an absolute honor to work with you and to see your transformation. And
Mm.
what's really stuck out to me, what you said is about you having enough with where you were before. Like it was so bad that even your wife would notice you feeling really down. So this is the thing about making it as a trader or or really pushing yourself out the boundaries of the societal norms of the 9 to 5, the corporate life and all of that. When you're trying to break through that norm, you're gonna go through a very dark period and your family are gonna notice it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very painful. But what you realize is when you join the program, it's like, damn, this is very painful as well. This is not
Yeah.
easy. This is something where you have to adapt, you have to change, you have to replace the pain. But the
Yeah.
thing is, the pain in this program, the RTM, the SOPs, the back testing, the accountability, the workout routines, all and doing the things you don't want to do, you don't feel like doing it. It's that out of that comfort zone. This is pain, but it's beneficial for you. It actually gets you results. And when you finally get those results, like you said, it just come faster than you're like, oh wow, I've just passed, but I didn't pass because I gambled. Next thing you know, oh wow, I've got my payouts. But these payouts they're not gambling. I literally followed the process and a system. And this is what we were training for. This is all in my SOPs. Then you realize, wow, okay, I've made a transformation. So and this happens, everyone's different. It happens in different times. For some of you, it takes 2, 3 months. For others, it takes longer. At the end of the day, you can't compare yourself to any of these guys. You just have to, it's a you versus you, it's a me versus me. So it's really about understanding what your demons are, where your pain is, and replace that pain. Replace it with discipline, with consistency, with routine. Like, Ralph, you hate running, but now you're running because that's building resilience, that's building mental fortitude that you need for trading. And this is what it's about. So, it's very difficult to build a community like this, but because you guys are we're all very similar in mindset. We're all very similar in the fact that we're willing to step out of our comfort zone and we're willing to do it together as a team. That's what it's about, guys. It's about sticking together with your coaches and just being super transparent and just pushing yourself every day. And you're gonna have setbacks. You're gonna fail. Like even now, Ralph, you're going through a drawdown period, which is
Yeah.
so, and everything you've just said, you're literally now having to use everything you've just said but
Mm.
at this stage, at this level, like yeah, you've had great consistent payouts the last 2 quarters. You've been smashing it, but then now you've got. So what's
Yeah.
your process? what are your SOPs? Like, what's the mindset behind dealing with this drawdown that you've got right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm just going back to the basics. I just wanted to share that because prior to last week, ever since I joined the sniper program, I never blew an account. And that's so surprising for me because like um if I'm not mistaken, prior to join the sniper program, I blew 100 challenges, 100 plus, whatever. And that was happening like 5 to 10 at a time because I reached the point when I was just tilting and it just became gambling. And so I would do that, maybe blow an account every other week or maybe every month. But after joining the sniper program, I didn't blow an account until last week. So it's kind of a relief. It's kind of a relief because I was also feeling a bit of pressure, like, okay, I haven't blown an account in a while. Now that I've done that, it removes a little bit of pressure. And it just kind of humbles me and makes me realize that, the struggles in the SEA Games, they don't really completely go away. And it's not completely eliminated, but the difference now is that, like you were telling me, there's a process now behind it. I know how to recover from this. And for me, that process is, I've just been trying to go back to the basics, went back through my RTM and just doing my routines. It's just simply what I'm doing. I took a break. I took a 1 week full break. I just detached from the charts. And I just started with that. And I'm just gonna go from there. But I have a pretty simple routine that I started with. I don't have a complicated routine ever since the start of the program. And that's why it's so easy for me to kind of follow it and stay disciplined and stay motivated because I kind of get a kick out of, oh, I did like 90% or 80% in my scorecard, in my habit tracker. That's something that I can build on. So I'm just kind of doing that now.
That's it. That's it. It's the fundamentals. You know, it's the fundamentals. Let's jump into some Q&A, guys. Let's
Hey, can I just say something before the Q&A?
yeah, go ahead, Tom.
What he was saying, other people, and how I felt before too. It's all about not keeping secrets to yourself and others because how he said his wife realized he was down and he probably didn't tell her that he was failing an account and stuff. The more you let people know your failures, the less you're going to have on your shoulders and the better you're going to trade. So if you have a problem, I mean, with trading in this community and your psychology, yeah, let anyone know. You can even message me or any coach, because if you have that burden on your shoulders, it just eats you away, just like in anything in life, but in trading, because if you're trading in a bank or an institution, your risk manager guy is going to be down your neck if you're messing up, and you'll know, and you can't keep it a secret. Here, you're with a prop firm. They want you to fail. So they're not going to say anything when you're failing or doing bad because they're going to probably make more money. So you can't really go to them and get some advice. And you can't, they know your secret and they're not going to tell anyone your secret, but you can tell us because we've been through it, and it'll make you feel so much better when you tell the truth.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the most powerful thing about the community, because when I started doing this, I mean, I did it alone, right? So I didn't really have anyone to share it with. But so I think it was a learning process for me to feel like it's okay to share my mistakes. It took some time, even if Gabriel was saying, "Hey man, if you're going through something or if you make a mistake, just say it." Surprisingly, it wasn't as easy as it sounded for me because I never got used to it. I never got used to sharing my mistakes with anyone. It was just kind of like bottle it in. But you're right. I mean, once you unload that burden, it's just the problem is so much smaller, and then you can actually deal with it.
Yeah, the longer it goes on, the more it compounds and the worse it gets mentally and the worse it actually affects your life outside trading. And once that gets bad, nothing's going to work anything in a professional setting.
So yeah, let's continue the discussion. If you have a question, guys, just raise your hand, and yeah, we'll bring you up because we touched on a lot of themes here, and it's definitely goes to show that everyone has their own unique journey, their own unique experience. their own way of trading. There's no one size fits all. Then that's why we adapt as coaches. We adapt to you. So what works with one sniper might not work with someone else. So it's really about, this is why we built this community to be very personalized. So yes, Ben, how you doing? Welcome. It's like your second call with us, right?
It's yeah, great to be a part of it, Rob. Thank you everybody for sharing what you've shared. It's really appreciated the experience. I did have a think about this beforehand, just what sort of question I would ask, and I know we're largely geared towards sort of managing our losses quite well, but I didn't know if the people had spoken if they had anything in place where they maybe looked at the fact they've had 3 successful days in a row, and maybe I'm going into an overconfidence element. Did they hit a target for the week, maybe where they just decided to walk away from computer, etc., and then call it at that? I think I was aware of a situation a while back. I'd heard, it's only a little story, but I think it was one of the big major banks, and they had a rule if one of their traders actually hit, they had a magnificent day, shall we say, and made a stupid load of money. They were literally forced to go actually on leave for a period of a couple of weeks, because it was known full well if they came back for that bank and started trading, it would just affect them massively. And the bank didn't want to risk that. So it was actually by a condition they had in their employment, believe it or not. They were told to go away and come back 2 weeks later. But I don't know if anyone had got any similar in their sort of trading plan or not, or had an experience of that. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually something that happened to me when I was working as an analyst and I was working my way up to be a trader in London. I had my biggest day, and the way I celebrated, and it was, yeah, literally on the desk trying to backflip, doing cartwheels. That's how happy I was. Then we went out. The next day when I came in, I was told to go home because I just still had a big smile on my face. I came in the day after, they were like, no, go home, come back next week. I was just so eager to get back in to because I thought that's it, I've made it, but no. So yeah, it's about a week later, I was only allowed to come back, and even then, I still had to downsize. So it's you gotta know how to manage euphoria, um, and especially when you start scaling, when you get big payouts. And euphoria is it's a wonderful drug. It's very addictive. But then this is where you need to understand where you get your dopamine from, and having planned breaks or planned things in your schedule where you do get different forms of dopamine. Um, and everyone's different. Everyone likes different things, but you got to get your dopamine from activities that are actually going to be beneficial for you. So, for example, exercise, going for a walk, going near nature, putting your feet on the grass. Like these are the different things that are going to give you good dopamine. We all know where we can get bad dopamine from, but it's really about that. So yeah, that's my take on that. Could you repeat your question again? What was it?
Yeah, sure. Just if anyone had actually implemented a system in place, in their procedures, so they acknowledge the fact that they might have had a big win, or a highly profitable day, shall we say, and had they actually then followed that, where they maybe just traded, Tuesday, Wednesday, and thought, I'm done for the week, and implemented that at all,
All right.
been successful.
I think
Thank you.
Louis, you got your hand up. Hold on. You need to unmute.
Yeah, so obviously I just wanted to put my 2 pence in on that. And I feel like it depends on whether you've managed to overcome that overconfident feeling in your trading. Because when I used to struggle with overconfidence, then I would step away if I was like at a certain profit for the day, or I was at a certain profit for the week, I'd step back and not trade. But I feel like as I've progressed in my trading now, I've been finding that I was missing out on the setups by doing so. So for me now, it's literally a point is no matter how much I'm up or down for the day, let's just say I'm on a win streak or a hot streak for the week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be, I will continue trading until I start to see signs otherwise. So you can kind of compare this to if you're trading with the trend, you just keep buying until you start to see signs that trend is now exhausted and start to see signs to sell off. So I implement that same sort of approach in my trading. As long as I follow risk management, I don't really care about taking a loss because I know that once I do hit that loss, then that's when I'll stop. But if I'm getting setups that I'm seeing on the charts, it doesn't matter how much I'm up or how many trades I've took that day. Like I'll keep going and going and going as long as the setups are there, until I start to see signs otherwise.
I think that's really interesting. I think initially you have to condition yourself and you
Yeah,
have to restrict the wins as well as you restrict the losses, you're restricting the wins because you want to just contain your emotions and you want to
yeah,
contain the wins. Eventually, like Louis, eventually you realize, oh, hold on a minute, I'm missing
yeah,
out a lot here. I
yeah,
can handle
yeah,
psychologically, I can handle more.
yeah.
And then you just do it.
So that was it, basically, because obviously I do have a Discord and a mentorship, and what I was finding is I was holding off on trading myself, and I was still sending like setups in, I was still sending trade ideas or charts and analysis, and then but because I'm capped at my, I don't know, say $1,000 for the day, I'm missing out on potentially two better trades during the day or during the week because I've cut myself off because I knew that I didn't have my emotions under control when it comes to overtrading. But I feel like now that I've got the data from sort of my system, I'll just keep going and going and going now and sort of maximize them gains.
Yeah, so for me, since I'm not really looking at the profit number itself and I'm looking more at the percent per day, it kind of actually keeps me in check on how much I'm going to make per day because I look at one or 1/10 or 2/10 or 3/10 of a percent an excellent day. If I ever get to something where it actually does run and I actually for some reason get rid of my target and let it run, and then I get out, my instinct is I'll trade the rest of the week, but I'll actually go to from one mini or two minis down to like 2 micros or 3 micros. So I just really
So you start
totally
de-risk.
take, yeah, I just de-risk big time
Yeah.
because I still want to feel like I'm in the game and feel like I'm actually seeing the charts, looking at the setups, feeling that I'm still in it. If it's like a Friday and I'm up big, like on a Wednesday or Thursday, I'll stop. I
Yeah.
won't do it anymore. Um, but with institutions like my uncle, I know when he got a divorce, the trading company found out, and then he couldn't be on the floor for 3 months. He at that time, that's when they were have runners with the little slips. He was only allowed to be a runner for 3 months during that, even though he was a senior trader. So when you have those institutions like that, they really crack down on stuff like that. So
That's
again,
why I was
that's
saying I
why.
feel like it's important to know where you're at in your emotions, and do you know that you've got your emotions in check? Like, how do you feel when you start being overconfident? How does it affect your trading? But I feel like once you kind of knowledge yourself up a bit and you're a bit experienced in it, I know that some people could say to me, well, you're just trading based on fear of missing out on FOMO because I want to be in a trade, but that's not the case. I'm not looking at the P&L on my trade. I'm not looking at the running P&L. I'm not looking at the percentage gain of how much I'm going to make. I'm literally just executing my model. And
Right.
as long as the markets present them opportunities to me, I will continue to do so until
Yeah,
obviously you take a loss. Like I say,
and then
if you're going with the trend, look at gold, for example. 9 weeks it's been bullish for, barring last week. 9 consecutive weeks, week after week. But you can continue buying that trend if that's the way you're trading.
right.
Why would you not? And you're missing out on the profit that it's potentially giving you just because you're
Yeah,
capping yourself at a mental barrier. Like, I can't make more than 1% a day because my mind can't cope with it, which is fine if you accept that. But for me, it was like, I want to move past that and I'm going to continue to maximize until I see signs. Now you stop trading. You know what I mean?
yeah. But for like Ben's question, what I was saying is that even people in the institutions,
Mm,
they have those safeguards as well,
yeah.
where if you hit a big day, just like Rod said, they'll tell you to go home or make you go get coffee or something like that. So if you don't want to trade because you had a good day, it's not the end of the world.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Thanks, Tom.
Uh,
Oh.
Thanks, Ben. Mikhail, you got your hand up?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's a question about feeling I have in this moment. And when you do all thing, maybe you do accountability, you do RTM, DSC, journal, you make your preparation, you think you make all the good thing for the good trading day, but the profit don't come, the win don't come. How do you handle it about psychological and mindset level? It's my first question, and the twice is, what is your turning point between being unprofitable and profitable for each of you guys?
All right. Well, we'll start with Louis.
I think I need to lower my hand. That's been raised since the last question.
All right. I
So
thought your hand was up. Yeah. All right. Ryan, do you want to answer that?
Sorry, I was paying attention to the first 15 minutes of the market. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah. So question
God, I'm so
was
terrible.
he's
Sorry.
getting that last day in.
Yeah.
The question was in regards to, you do everything right, you follow your process, daily scorecard, your preparation, but you still
Yeah.
lose. How do you handle that psychologically? And then the second part of the question was, what was that, Mikhail, the second part?
The turning point between unprofitable and unprofitable. What is the aha moment?
I think it kind of depends on how long has this been going on for? You know, how long are you seeing these unprofitable for after doing all this? Because if you're talking like a few days, or is it got a few months? You know, if it's a few months, then I'd probably say you need to sort of change your strategy up a bit.
Yeah.
But if it's only a few days, I'd keep going, just keep going through it and see what your data is looking like after a month or two.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say like your process has nothing to do with market conditions, the way the market moves. It's totally unrelated. And so for me, I think following my process, following my routine brings joy to me. Like you need market structure to trade, but you also need life structure
Life structure, yeah.
to run your business, right? To become to sustain yourself as a trader. So I think as long as you're following, your day to day, your protocol, whatever, like that should bring you joy. And you're doing the right thing. And just like with there's so much analogies, but sports is, I think, the best one. Maybe even poker. It's just like, you can do everything right and still get unlucky, right? And that's life. Like life is not chess, right? Because with chess, if you make all the right moves, all the game theory optimization moves, you're likely going to win against an opponent who makes one less mistake than you, right? Or one more mistake than you. And the total opposite, you can totally like fuck yourself over and over leverage, over trade, and probably have like one of the best days ever, right? So yeah, I think it's okay. I think you have to kind of just be confident that your equity curve like is built from losses, right? Like the road to winning success is paved with losses. So long as you trust your strategy, like what Luis said, like it really comes down to strategy, because I truly believe that none of this really matters if you have a losing strategy, right?
Yeah, that's right. And obviously, I think it's important to ask him, how do you actually feel, getting these results by putting the work in and then not seeing any profitability yet? Like, how are you feeling in that circumstance? I think his mic's on mute.
It's a good question. It's a good question. And for answer before, it's a feeling about 2 weeks to 10 days approximately. So I don't think it's the strategy, or I don't know. But my feeling is just I do right thing. I hope I try to do right thing, but the win rate is not there, or I'm not consistent, and I question myself. Maybe I have to add something in the strategy. Maybe I add something on my preparation. It's always a question about myself. Sometimes it's just, as say Ryan, it's just the market. Sometimes you jump on your computer, you click buy and you make a big trade, and okay, it's enough for the day. And the day after, you do a big preparation, you do all the thing. Oh, it's the strategy, and you are in a strict loss. So I know it's trading, it's probability, but when the strict loss day, or after, how do you handle it? Because it's hard. For me, I say to myself, maybe I'm dumb, I'm stupid, maybe I'm not I don't have the right skills. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really think it comes down to it's nothing to do with being dumb or feeling that way, but I can completely relate to I presume you're going through this right now. I presume this 10 to 2 weeks losing period is happening right now. It's not something that's happened a few weeks ago.
Yes,
That's right.
yes. Before it
Yeah.
was quite good, but
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we could go on this topic for ages, but it all depends on, what markets you're trading, what you're looking at, like what is it you're trying to trade. But I don't think 10 days is enough data to completely write a strategy off. That I'm not saying that at all. But I just keep going, keep doing the same things you're doing. Make sure you're doing, like, for me, like a morning routine was really helped me. So making sure my mental state was in a good place before trading, and then just making sure you're ticking all the boxes for whatever your strategy is. Have I seen this happen before I do this? Do I need to see this happen before I take that? So make sure you're following your strategy to a T as well as keeping you physically in check. And then that's worth reviewing data after at least, like I say, a month or 2 months, because 10 days, I mean, I've had losing streaks of 10 days before, and it's frustrating. I get it. Like, it feels horrible. It's like you start questioning your strategy, start questioning your abilities,
Yeah.
and then eventually you just continue doing the same thing, and then it starts working again. It's like, and then it's fine. So I just
Can,
feel
can
like
I
that.
can I
Yeah, go on.
can I ask you if you know anyone that's successful with your strategy? Because I think one of the main reasons why ICT is so sort of streamlined and so popular and so successful is because there's a lot of successful people doing it, right? Like the belief in yourself, like the world is a mirror, right? And in order to believe in yourself, you actually also have to like see other people kind of doing the thing that you're like seeking out to do, like doing the strategy, right? So I think at the very beginning, I I wasn't trading ICT properly, but I believed that if I kept practicing and kept learning, kept backtesting, kept kind of refining what I was doing and learning from my mistakes, like I was going to get there eventually because I've seen Kyle do it. I've seen so many people do it. And so the belief definitely has to come first. Otherwise, you will always second guess. You would always. I heard earlier you're adding something to your trading. I personally believe that you shouldn't be adding more to your trading. You should actually be adding less. You should be making
Yeah,
it more
take
simple.
take stuff out.
Yeah. So I think it really comes down to like, do you actually believe like in your strategy, which is totally separate from believing in yourself, by the way. But do you believe in your strategy? Have you seen other people super successful at implementing it? And uh, obviously backtesting helps. But I think there also has to be sort of like again, I don't know what your strategy is, but there's also like kind of a reason why you should be following that strategy. I like, I followed retail indicators for so long, SMA, EMAs, Bollinger Bands, MACD, like, like everything. And I did it because everyone was doing it, and people find success in doing it too. But then the reason why I took a step back from that, because I just realized those things were, I, I know someone, I know Thomas used VWAP and all that. It's probably better than a lot of the other ones, but I truly believe those are like lagging indicators, and I don't use any. I only use horizontal lines on my charts, and strategy obviously revolves around liquidity, and so even if you do see like it working out for people, again, like that's also kind of a fallacy as well, because a lot of people just post their wins and they're not super transparent with their losses. But obviously having a mentor like Kyle, like, just super transparent. But I think you have to really believe why the strategy works as well, is my point.
Yeah, it's quite hard to fully dissect that question and give them a proper answer without, knowing what it is you actually trade and what strategy you have. Because again, we don't know anyone that trades it. You could turn around and say, I don't really know anyone that trades it profitably, and then you'll find your answer.
Tom, you got something to say?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, no matter if you don't know their strategy or how they trade, is I've noticed that when people have drawdowns and everything, from what I see, is if they hesitate with the trade. If you're not so confident and you don't just get in the trade right away when you really think it's the right way, you're going to fail. So you got to be, if you're going to have a strategy, you can't hesitate on entering at all.
You just got to execute.
Yep.
Ralph?
Hey, yeah, I just want to simply say that because I know how it feels to go through kind of like a losing streak, because I think I went through the same thing even when I was starting out at first, but it's kind of like bouncing off what Louis was saying. You just have to give yourself more time. I think 10 days is too short. You have to give yourself more allowance, and you just have to not be too hard of your not be too hard on yourself at this point, because at this point it's just you have to think about it as you're just collecting data. You're not trying to make a payout right now. You're testing your idea, and maybe at this point you've backtested your strategy and everything like that. But then you have to give yourself time to get comfortable with your strategy, to believe in it. Just like what Ryan was saying. So I think psychologically, how you handle it is just let go of the timeline first. Just kind of keep your head down and just do the right things. Don't get tired of doing the right things, because as you do the right things and as you track it, there's something to measure. But the data will only be worth looking at or studying after some time. You have to like log in the data, and you need to collect more data sets is what I'm saying.
Yeah, spot on. Spot on. Thanks, guys. We've got a question from Edgar, and then we'll do Manny.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, first of all. It goes hand in hand. Well, it is very similar with the one of the previous questions. It is based on confidence, either overconfidence and lack of confidence. I guess you already replied in a sense, but I want to know what's the protocol you follow when you realize if you do, and how you do it. So how you realize that you're getting overconfident or lack of confidence, and how or what is the protocol you follow to get balanced again.
I guess I could start. Actually, why I wanted to share was that I never thought that I had a problem with overconfidence until recently, when I started dipping down in my performance. Because for me, the manifestation of my overconfidence isn't this euphoric feeling that I'm on top of the world and I can do anything, I can't lose. It's more of mine is a bit more subtle. Mine manifests itself by I just start getting complacent. I just feel that I don't need to do the things that I'm doing at the detail that I'm doing it, and it's just kind of like a slow burn. So what I realized, and what Gabriel was pointing out, was that every every next trade that I take after I receive a payout loss. And so when it happened the first time, I didn't think much of it because it's just one time, right? And then it happened a second time. Well, you know, maybe it's just random, but when it happened the third time and it really affected my performance, that's when I started thinking about maybe I should really do something about this. So I guess the easiest way, it depends on how overconfidence manifests in your trading, but yeah, it's simply just walk away and just give yourself that full break and full reset, and just force yourself not to touch the charts first. If you're unsure, it's better just to stay out and just recover from there.
Thanks, Ralph. Yes, Tom?
Yeah, the overconfidence thing and distraction is probably the very important thing. Like I showed Rodrigo once that I have a vacuum cleaner next to my computer. So if I start feeling like I want to urge to trade more often or over trade, or I feel like I can't miss, I actually just take the vacuum and vacuum a couple rooms, come back, and then I feel a little bit more humble.
I was quite
So
worried where this conversation was going to go then.
yeah, I just go clean 2 rooms. I come back and then I'm like, oh, okay, well that setup's gone and it probably wouldn't have worked anyway. So that was probably too much overconfidence in what I thought. So so just walk away. Walk away if you feel overconfident because you want to come in and feel like, I'm not going to say it's a struggle to win, but you got to make sure that you feel that you are confident in what you're trading with and what your strategy is, and not that, yeah, I'm just going to win no matter what.
The secret sauce, always have a Dyson next to your trading desk.
Exactly. And I do.
Nice. I got a response to this. Now, confidence is an essential ingredient in your success as a trader. You need confidence. Now, confidence in both extremes is either lack of confidence is essentially fear. There's this fear of being wrong. There's this fear of failing. There's this fear of losing money. There's this so that's on one side of confidence. On the other side of confidence, you've got utter greed and euphoria, and it's just messy. Now you want to be a little bit closer to that greed, a little bit closer to that in terms of confidence. You want to there's the balance or the middle bit, and a little bit more. You want to be on the scale closer to being aggressive, closer to having a bit more greed.
Yeah.
But that comes as long as you're not complacent with your processes. As soon as you start getting complacent with your protocols and like your setups, that you have your A+ setup and you're looking for 5 confluences, but you start taking trades with only 4 or 3 confluences because you're trying to front run this. So I can see the setup, I might as well enter now. I'm going to front run the setup so that I can get an earlier entry. When you start getting complacent like this, then it's you're going to have to dial it down. So when you see a lack of when you're seeing complacency and a lack of rule adherence, process adherence, when that starts going down, this is when you de-risk. So Tom said it earlier about when he's already winning, he's had a good week, he will de-risk. So that could be in the like reducing size or shutting off some of the trading accounts that you're actually copying in. So instead of your funding, take those trades on a challenge account.
Yeah.
So so confidence is good. You want confidence, and confidence comes with evidence. The more evidence you gain from yourself, your own process, and the more evidence you get from the market, then you want to protect this confidence. But protect it not just from fear, protect it from complacency, laziness, and comfortable. As soon as you start not following rules, you're getting lazy, you're getting complacent. Something's wrong there, and you need to dial it down, de-risk, and just like break it all up, and maybe give yourself a week off trading and just trade demo or something, or just completely come off the charts and just have a 3 to 5 day break off the charts completely. These are the kind of things you want to be careful with. But confidence is good, just as long as there's no complacency.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like you should lean more towards, aggressive, greed, confidence. You should lead towards more of them emotions than hesitant, being scared, fear, 100%.
Yeah.
Because they're easier to manage an aggressive approach. If you over risk, you just simply de-risk. If you over trade, you cap your amount of trades that you're taking per day. But I feel like there's nothing really there to get out of that hesitant or fearful stage. There's no parameters you can put on your trading. Like most of the futures accounts now, you can put limitations on your account. You can block certain symbols. You can cap the amount of trades you take. You can cap the amount of profit you take. And once they hit, your account will be locked out for the day. But there's nothing there to help you get out of that being too scared to take a trade.
Yes, Manny. Thank you for waiting. Thanks, Edgar. Good question.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rodrigo.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep. I think maybe this is a question maybe for Louis, or any other guys can chime in if they've had this experience. I think, Louis, you mentioned earlier that you traded CFDs and transitioned to futures. It sounds like you're in the UK, so you still have the option to trade CFDs. If you trade the CFDs, if you're profitable, how did you find trading CFDs versus the futures? And then also, if you had experience scaling CFD accounts, what was that experience like compared to futures? I'm aware futures accounts are cheaper, you can pass them quicker. But I'm just intrigued, since you're based in the UK, or you said that you have the option to trade CFDs, but you chose futures.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, I just used to trade CFDs. That's what I started off on. And then obviously when it was introduced to prop firms, it was just CFDs. Futures was about, but it weren't really a biggest thing as it is now. And yeah, obviously I scaled with CFD firms. I got up to around 2 million in funding at one point with CFD firms. But as you know, the evaluations to them right, and you do start trading pretty aggressively, your pot of money can soon go down because of the cost of these evaluations. You know, you're talking $1,000 at a time. So, and my strategy was more, when I started to really sort of dial down on my strategy, it was leaning more towards lower time frame. And what I was finding is that the spreads was messing my strategy up. I was being taken out of trades that I shouldn't be taken out of trades in, and stuff like that. The amount of rules that the CFD firms had, you know, holding trades for a minimum 2 minutes, the news rules, layering rules, like there was so many different rules being added into CFD firms, and futures was becoming quite a big thing then. And I kept looking into futures and I thought, I don't understand it. Like, but really it's exactly the same. Just the terminology is just different. You know, you're not trading lots, you're trading contracts. You're not trading gold, you're trading GC. But in reality, the price action is the same. They're moving the same. So it was just a case of figuring out the terminology of futures and then making a transition. And then I noticed when I switched, my strategy data was increasing rapidly because it was actually working better on futures than it was for CFDs. And then obviously you've got the costs. They're probably 10 times cheaper than buying CFD firm evaluations. You can get just the same, if not better, returns from futures. So it was kind of like a no-brainer to switch to futures for me. And again, you mentioned about the scalability. Yeah, you do have scalability with CFD firms. I'm not taking that away from them. But to get to the same sort of capital or the same sort of level with futures, it's much more streamlined and it's much quicker. But I do feel like you do need to be careful if you are thinking of getting involved in futures, that I feel like you could easily gamble a lot more on futures because it's so easy to hit that reset button, and the price to do so is very low. You don't realize when you reset in, you know, 10, 15, 20 accounts at a time, they're only $50 each, but that stacks up. There's been some times, and I've looked at my bank the same day, and I've been like, shit, I've spent a lot of money on resets today, but you don't feel like it when you're in that moment because it just feels like it's only $50. I'll just reset it. But then when you're doing that across multiple accounts and you're still trying to trade them aggressively, so just be cautious to anyone thinking of making the transition to futures. You know, you can easily go down a slippery slope doing it that way. That's something I witnessed the hard way, pretty much the same as everything in my trading journey has been done the hard way. But I feel like ever since I made the switch to futures, I've not even traded a CFD firm since, and I don't think I'd ever go back to them.
Thank you. Cheers.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Can I just ask Louis there? Thanks for sharing that. I've gone down that route before, and futures is my thing now with MNQ basically. Question is, with the sort of trade copying you mentioned earlier on, you sort of trading 35 accounts. Was there any particular copying system you'd used? I'd used Apex's own one, and then I think there's one by Replicanto, which I'd sort of download and had in the background.
Yeah.
Which ones have you found best success with when you've been trading maybe Apex or etc.?
TradeSyncer is probably the best for me because I scale it across multiple firms. I've only recently started trading with TradeSyncer, because I used to just copy trade within the platform itself. So you mentioned Apex. With Apex, I'd just link them all to the copy trader, built in Tradeovate, but then I'd trade alpha futures or my funded futures differently. So I'd still copy trade the accounts within that same firm, but not cross firms, basically.
Okay.
But recently, I've just gone to TradeSyncer, where you can put all the firms, all the accounts, no matter what platform they're on, and you can copy trade just from one account on there.
Right. Okay. Sounds pretty good. Yeah.
It's a little bit expensive, especially when you. I think I pay about $100 a month for TradeSyncer, which in reality of things, it's not that expensive, but it may seem expensive for someone that just wants a copy trading when it's within your platform, basically.
Okay. Okay. This strike is fairly low time frame as well, so it'd be very difficult to set up, on different logins or whatever else. So I would need something that copied straight away with what my particular setup. So that's why I was interested in.
TradeSync would be your best bet there, yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
How do you guys approach
sorry, Rod. I think Tom mentioned something about TradeSync as well before, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have TradeSyncer. I have most of all of them connected.
Yeah.
You just have to watch which companies allow you to trade sync or copy trade, or also too if they require you to be the lead, their account to be the lead account. So what I do is I just pick Project X whenever I can, do the copier, and then I only have one account on TradeSyncer to copy from the others. I mean, I have, I don't know, probably like you, 35, 40 accounts. But most of them only have one because they're Project X ones on the side. And then I just use, I think it was top one futures basically requires you to use them as a lead account. So I just use them and then trade the Apex, my funded futures, funded next. So I got the one where you get 120 accounts. So yeah, it's like $100 to $130 a month. But if you have that many accounts, it's nothing. It's a very small expense,
Yeah. Just a question to you there, Tom. You mentioned, so if you've got, let's say you're with Top Step, for example, and you're on Project X. You've got one lead account and 4 follower accounts.
Correct.
On Top Step, yeah?
Yep.
And then you put them into your TradeSyncer. Do you just need to put the lead account in there?
Yeah, just the lead one, because if you do,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you put them all together and you have the copy in on the Project X as well, then you have like double, it'll double up all the time.
Right.
I learned that not the hard way, but I noticed it. What I learned though was with the copy trade, I do the Ola Prime. There's one called Ola Prime. You can't even use a copy trade on their side. So I actually had theirs as their lead account on the TradeSyncer and 2 other accounts on their Project X. They emailed me, the risk team, and said, "You're using a copy trade, you can't do it." I'm like, "Well, it says you can." They said only on the Project X. So they basically took that account away, but I had the other 2 left because it was being copied on Project X. So it's almost more of an insurance aspect in case they do change the rules on you.
So basically, I don't need to have 5 Top Step accounts on TradeSyncer. I just need to have one, which will be the leader.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm looking at my top 1 right now, and I have 5 of them, and 1 is a leader, and the other 4 are on Project X. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's handy to know. Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question for you guys. In your initial stages of profitability, how did you organize or plan and budget for scaling? Because obviously, you make some profits. How much of that did you put towards scaling? And then now when you're getting payouts, how are you organizing? How much of that do you then allocate?
At first, for me, I was reinvesting 90% of it because I didn't need the money anyway. That was coming in from the payouts, to live off. I had separate money for that anyway. So a case for me is I was going all in when I was scaling, and anything that was generated out of payouts would be going back into purchase more and scaling.
Okay, good.
Now it's a little bit different. I've toned it down a little bit. There's certain allegations go elsewhere now. I'd probably say 50% of it maybe gets kept. Doesn't go straight into buying more accounts, but it gets kept as a reserve.
What about you
Yeah,
guys?
for me, I'm doing it for the long-term basis. So I was in the beginning taking maybe like a quarter to a little bit more and adding more in, and then taking the other cash, and I put that in a personal account for trading futures as well, and I use micros on that. But I do that because if the prop firm industry ever imploded, and government says nothing, you can't have a prop firm anymore, I have money from the payouts in a personal account that I can just take that same strategy to a personal account and not have any issue with it of pulling my other money out of my bank account to trade
Yeah.
futures like I was. So it's always good to have that little side pot just in case anything happens, because this industry is not really regulated, so you never know. And honestly, with all the people here with the payouts, I have no clue how these people make money. I really don't. So they do. There's a lot of them, but just save that cash on the side and use it towards your personal account down the line.
Yeah. So I'll just add to that as well. Mine's a similar approach now anyway. It doesn't go into a personal account at the moment because I don't really, I'm focused on trading the props. Well, like I say, it goes back to my answer before, maximize it while you can. I don't want to start slowing down on props now and then 12 months down the line, they all disappear. So it's a case of maximizing and take what you can out of them while it's going good. But there's money aside if they ever did go away to take my strategy to a personal account.
Yeah, I don't think prop firms will go away. I just think they'll once they do get regulated, they're just going to become more expensive. But
Yeah, they'll probably
so
fine.
the rules will be more strict, and they'll be just so your ability to make as much money as you do now will be reduced, and they'll be more expensive. But you can still make money from them if you're a good trader. That's from speaking to different prop CEOs. That's kind of like the likelihood of where of the industry. So there's still opportunity. It's still it's still a very profitable business model. So the best thing you can do is just become a consistent trader. And there's opportunities not just in this industry as a profitable trader, but you can go into the institutional world. So if you've got enough of, 1 year, at least 1 year of getting regular payouts, and you have a personal account as well, and you're building that up, there's a lot of capital, there's a lot of money out there. They're looking for traders, and they can offer you some really, really attractive packages. And more and more trading floors are opting for remote trading too, so you don't even have to move. You stay where you are and just trade. So prop firms is just one income stream. You got to think, how can I use my trading skills to generate more opportunities? I know Ryan, you trade options as well. There's crypto, there's stocks. So why restrict yourself to NQ? Why are you guys not trading stocks too, or investing them for the long term? So there's the skills that you build as a trader. If you can do pretty much anything. It's being a trader, and the skills you develop it opens up many doors.
So I just wanted to add into that as well. I don't feel like the payout certificates are enough for a verified track record. We all know how easily they can be manipulated, faked. There's so much bullshit on social media these days anyway. I've recently started a journey with DarwinX. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but my hope is just to continue what I'm doing now and replicate on the DarwinX account, that's going to build my verified track record.
Yeah. You've also got Rain Trading. So Rain Trading is also seems to have a good reputation.
Yeah, that assessment's hard to pass. That's a hard assessment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I'm
got
in it. I'm in it right now, and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they watch you. They watch you, but I mean, I really am very cautious on that compared to the other ones. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm up 12%, but it's been these 7 weeks. So
Yeah.
it's a different way of being aggressive with the prop firm sometimes and them.
Yeah.
So we'll see
That's
what
what I
happens with
found
them. Yeah.
difficult. Like going from trading props to then start trying to trade like Darwin or Rain. It's like shit, you need to have like two different personalities that switch over.
yeah, yeah. One is a degenerate gambler, and the other one's
Yeah.
a professional.
Well, it's just different risk approaches, isn't it? It's not, yeah, it is. It's just different risk. Because
Yeah,
I noticed when I first started trading on the Darwin, and because it basically says in order to calibrate the risk engine, just trade how you'd normally trade. So obviously, I've been trading props for 2 years. I was full port in that shit, and
yeah,
then I was looking at my deleverage on the trades. I was like, I need to tone this down to get somewhere with this because they don't really care about the return you're making.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's just both ways. They care about how do you manage your drawdown, and how long does it take you to get out of drawdown? How deep does it go before you're
mhm,
back in profit? This is all of these stats.
yeah,
Whereas the prop firms, they don't care. They just this is a completely different product. So, but it's good. It's good practice to think long term. It forces you to really, yeah, to really do it like a professional, and it teaches you, it forces you to be to trade sustainably, rather than too aggressive. But yeah, with prop firms, you have to be aggressive to make money.
yeah.
So,
I feel,
but within its guardrails, within the contained protocols and rules.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that's why I wanted to start trading with Darwin for more of a professional approach. Like, am I cut out for this? Can I do it? Is it something that I'll be able to achieve? Like props, don't get me wrong, props are great, but once you kind of gamify the system, it does become repetition. It does become boring. It does become what's the end game here? Like, how long does it go on for? So that's why I wanted to test myself in other ways, and with starting something like Darwin or Rain,
Mm,
could
yeah.
actually take this skill to the next level, like in a world outside of props.
Mm, yeah.
So,
What's your approach, Ryan, to um, reinvest your profits, trade personal? I know when we spoke, Ryan, you were talking about trading options. Like, what's your approach with how you're managing your and scaling?
Yeah, I think my early success started with Tradeify, and just going through, the gauntlet of what prop firms are. To be honest, I think sometimes, like I think someone just mentioned that, like in order to be successful at prop firms, sometimes like you have to gamify it. Like it doesn't like my pessimistic view on it is like just because I became a live trader is doesn't necessarily mean I'm like a great trader. I think it's just I've been good at trading the rules of Tradeify. Um, and I think after getting success with Tradeify, I decided to use some of that capital to start, getting accounts with Top Step and My Funded Futures, and start scaling that as well. I use about like 30 to it's like 25 to like 40%, not half, but about like, yeah, 25 to 40% of my funds on just getting I mean, my cushion right now is pretty big, so it's less than that. But yeah, I allocate like about 25 to 40% of like my winnings to prop firms. And yeah, I still think that like, there's a lot of room to, you know, um build capital through prop firms because I haven't even dipped my feet into the Apex yet. And that could, just Apex is a bit of a mind fuck, and so I'm saving that for last. It's a bit of a final boss for me. And it's the uncapped part of it's very, 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 very like, appealing. But I'm still very much focused on the prop firm space. Part of what builds my patience with futures trading is also like this other area of trading where I sell puts. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but to me, selling puts is like I use almost the same concepts as what I'm doing with futures, but I use it on other ticker symbols, mainly big tech stocks. And I have a list of 20 focus stocks, but basically these stocks are the ones that like, when you sell puts and you're wrong, the outcome is that you get assigned the shares. So, with futures trading, like you have a stop loss, you have a daily drawdown, whatever. With when you sell puts, you just get assigned the shares. So your win condition in selling puts is if the stock rips, if it goes higher, then you win. If it consolidates, you win because you're selling options. So you're basically selling insurance, you're selling data decay, you're selling the Greeks, and you're selling to people who are like, are buying insurance for their stocks. So if it consolidates, then you win as well. And then if you're wrong, then you get assigned shares. So, Rod mentioned earlier that like, it's a good idea to think about stocks as an investment as part of your portfolio. So that's basically how I've kind of a gist of like how I'm marrying everything is like I am building my stock portfolio through selling puts. The goal is to generate roughly 1 to 2% of your collateral every week. Because I only sell weekly options. I try not to hold over the weekend because current market conditions are crazy, right? With the trade wars and all that. So I don't I like sleeping on the weekends, right? Like I like being able to sleep at peace. So I haven't really been assigned shares because everything's just melting up. It's either like ripping up or it's just melting up, and either way, like you're like when you sell puts, you're gonna capture that premium. So yeah, just 1 to 2% on 100K account, like pretty nice. Like it's I would say in a very similar bucket to like dividend stock, but just much more lucrative and much more interesting and just much more aligned with my strategy. Um, and yeah, I think selling puts is like as I mentioned, there's multiple win conditions. There's obviously the risk of something happening, like some black swan event, and you get assigned a bunch of shares, and you really have to kind of think like long term, like, okay, this is not going to recover. For example, today, yesterday, Meta reported earnings. Stock is down 12% within the first 15 minutes of market open. I basically just sold puts because what I'm doing is I'm just selling insurance to people who are freaking out, right? And if it keeps going down, then I get assigned at that price. But I have conviction that, overall, like, Mag 7 stocks, especially a company like Meta, is going to keep going up, right? With all the catalysts that it has going and just the moat the company has. There's just so many reasons why it's just, a long play. And so I'm just treating it as a way to make weekly income. If I'm wrong, then I get assigned to shares, and I can also start selling covered calls on the shares I own. So basically, you make money both ways. You make money selling insurance, and you make money selling greed as well. As long as you can, you're never going to be perfect, but as long as the strategy kind of goes both ways, it's sort of similar to ICT, where like you're basically a reversal trader. You're selling puts on liquidity rates on the downside, and then you're selling calls on liquidity rates on the upside. So I'm like pretty passionate about this stuff. So like it's just very, very interesting to me. And it's also like I don't freak out about it because I don't mind getting assigned shares versus like trading prop firms. It's can be kind of stressful, right?
Yeah.
So I
Uh,
think yeah, just the last thing I'll say is that like with this other like diversified strategy, it makes me more patient and less sort of attached to like the prop firm space, if you will, because now I have two sort of sources of income. Um, and yeah, and those are mainly my two things. And then I'm starting to also allocate some money to real estate now as well.
nice,
With
nice.
the selling the puts, I do the same thing. I mean, it's if you're selling the puts on strong stocks like the Mag 7, who wouldn't want to buy the stock 10% cheaper and get a little cash in the long run to get it? It's easy. And especially with as the chart looks pretty good, that's fine. And like today when he sold the puts on the meta people that are freaking out, the premiums have just skyrocketed because of volatility. So he's making out the best out of everyone because he's making probably twice as much as he would if he did it 3 weeks ago. So that's it, if you're very patient and you have the money to cover the assignment, yeah, it's great.
Nice. Ryan, how did you manage both trading strategies or trading methods during your recent drawdown? Because you shared something really your recent performance.
Yeah.
How did you this drawdown period here? How did you manage that? Psychologically, risk management, what was your process between prop and options during that period? And then what led to this breakout in profitability for you?
Honestly, I think that September period, yes, price action was tricky, but I think a lot of that was on me. I think that I think after getting laid off, my psychology was a bit fucked. And I think my predatory instincts were kind of like elevated. And needing to secure the bag, needing to put dinner on the table, those kind of things, like fear kicked in. And so I just I again, like I think someone mentioned that like we're always going to continue making like kind of the same mistakes. I think you have to kind of go, you have to like kind of really, really go far. I think when I look at someone like Kyle, like he's he's still making mistakes, but like he's not making like crazy mistakes, right? I think for me, like I'm still, in terms of like chess like terms, like still blundering just less this time, and I'm actually like more aware of like what I'm doing. So I think, the drawdown was bad. But I think it took just some like self forgiveness, and it took some, kind of time away from the charts, um, running, spending time with friends, enjoying just being fun employed, uh, and yeah, and then just trusting my system. I think my system wasn't working because of me, really. I was not buying. I was like, my entries were really bad. I wasn't buying OTE. I was kind of over leveraging. I was chasing price action. So I think just kind of course correcting that, and still having confidence and belief in myself for October was, I think, part of, yeah, my journey, the past 2 months. And then yeah, just selling puts. I think there's more room for like error. Like there's just more, it's more forgiving, especially if you can like if you believe, if I was just confident the market was going to continue melting up, right, with interest rates and just this macro policy, right, of of cutting interest rates, and then also just like all the trade war stuff was kind of like BS, just fake wrestling. So yeah, I think it didn't really affect my other strategy. There was like one week in when the government shut down, and like there wasn't any like macro data to like kind of trade on. I definitely took a pause because it was discretion, it's totally discretionary. But also like that was like during the time where my equity curve was starting to recover, right? So it kind of went both ways. Like I also kind of took a step back, even though I was doing well. So at that point, I was kind of like giving myself credit, like I was, making good decisions. And so, yeah, I don't know if I really answered the question, but yeah, I think, it was somewhat of a dark period, but it wasn't nearly as dark as like those early months in earlier this year. It's when you've been through the maze and you've looked yourself in the mirror and you've learned a lot about yourself and you're truly disgusted with who you are and you're still making mistakes, like I think like the confidence of money and payouts is obviously a big deal. But also it's also that's also because of a result of like, you have a good system, right?
Hmm.
And so I think September was somewhat of I wouldn't say dark period, just kind of like a down period, but I was able to easily recover from that because of all the things that I've learned through the program, but also through psycho cybernetics and being able to talk with Marcus GPT because it is super lonely, and so just having AI
September was a shit
just
show.
talk through them. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, sorry, I kind of rambled there, but yeah.
No,
I've got a
thanks,
question for you, Ryan. Are you Kyle's twin? He
Because we're both
literally
Asian.
looks the
thinking
same,
that.
sounds the same.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
presume
Yeah.
trades the same.
Really? No, I'm not a twin because I'm not nearly as good as him. But he's actually younger than me, and he's I think much more less emotional than me. I think
Mm.
he's he I don't know if you guys have heard him on stream or anything, but he's absolutely just dropping like liners like all the time, and like it's like one of those like subtle things in movies where like someone says something and you might have missed it, but like he does that all the time, and he's just full of wisdom. Yeah, I've learned a lot from him.
Yeah, it's Kyle is definitely someone that pushes you to be better, and even like his whole name and the story behind his name, the Jade Master. It's a very inspirational story that you guys should definitely look at. And I think yeah, he's
Ryan's the next
definitely
Jade Cap.
yeah
Nah.
the the story of the Jade Master is yeah, it's about a student who then becomes the Jade Master. So yeah, it's something that I remember actually we had that conversation. Um, there was a period of time where you were going through, you made a mistake or something, and then um, you were trying to you were trying to copy Kyle, but you realized that actually no, you need to be a little bit more aggressive. And then I was saying to you, it's time when the student becomes the master, and you have to find your own path.
Mm.
And when we had that conversation after that, you were like, it kind of gave you you kind of gave yourself permission
Mm.
to be you, to trade like you rather than trade like Kyle. Because I know you studied under Kyle's mentorship, but you took parts that were useful to you, but then you merged them with who you really are. And I think that's an important lesson for everyone.
Yeah, so that's super important. And
Yeah.
that's all that Kyle's done with ICT. He's took something that works for someone else and used it to his own advantage in his own way,
Mm,
with the help of obviously everything else.
yeah. Yeah.
This
Exactly.
is why everyone's journey is different. Like everyone could trade the same concept or the same strategy,
Mm.
and every single person would have different
Yep.
results.
So that was do you remember that conversation, Ryan, we had?
Yeah, yeah. I think you're always dropping these one line like truth bombs that like really sober me up. And yeah, it's it is like even today, like I'm not on Kyle stream like every day. Like Kyle streams almost every day, and or at least he has a schedule, and I'm like barely watching him, and it obviously feels good to have like the same trade idea and the
Mm,
same like trade management sort of thoughts that he has. And in a way, like you should kind of be like if you do have a mentor and you do have people that you follow, like you should kind of do sort of like a blind test, if you will, to see like has have you really learned like have you really learned from your mentor? Have you really because that's just a true testament, right? Like if you can kind of come have your own sort of thought leadership and your own original ideas that stem from like what you've learned and like you kind of go out on your own and you realize that like yeah you can be self-sufficient, you can like you can be successful on your own. You might need some guidance here and there, but it really is I think it kind of like as you're like finding your success and you're practicing, you're learning, and you're on this journey, like sometimes you just need to take off the training wheels, right? And just like like trade on your own and then kind of see what happens, because you never truly know unless you kind of go on your own and try it, right? And I think that definitely builds a lot of confidence as well when you realize that you know that yeah. But I just want to say that it's super hard to talk and be in the trade at the same time. It's like I'm trying. I know this talk was like super important, but it's sorry, I'm a little bit everywhere right now. But
No worries, man. Do you want to share the
yeah, I'm
trade?
trying. I'm NQ longs right now, and yeah, it's looking good, but yeah, it's just like it's been it's yeah, it's a tough market to trade right now.
Here's where you need
It's
to add the disclaimer: don't go in full port longs, everyone.
yeah, I mean that worked like for the past 3 weeks, but yeah, this market is like fake wrestling for real, dude. It's just like it's it's like my trade's just been invalidated, but then now it's like going back up. So like I'm trying to like find a place where I can get in, but yeah, it's tough. It's it's tough. Sometimes like I think this group is well, correct me if I'm wrong, Rod, but like I think a lot of people here are scalpers, and for a very long time I was struggling with the like my identity of like, am I a scalper or am I someone like Kyle who like codes like trades like high to higher time frame like TPs, and like it's a really hard conversation, like because you can have all the success in the world as a scalper, um and like it truly is like a lot easier being a scalper, right? But then also like you have to work on a lot of trading psychology to like not FOMO and when things keep going up or keep going down. But like it was like for a while, like you said, like I was trying to figure out like what my identity was, and it's really hard. Like I'm like as I've said, as I've kind of been a little bit vulnerable on this call, like just been a gambler, uh been the type of person to just go for like easy wins and short-term gratification, go for pleasure and all those things. And like definitely for that type of person, like being a scalper that's in a trade for a few minutes, 15 minutes, like it's definitely a lot easier.
I think it's a
And there's
tricky
just
question that,
yeah.
because like
It is.
scalping to me is like you're holding trades for maximum 5 minutes, like you're in and out. But then other people will say you're a scalper if you trade the 1 minute. But I trade the 1 minute time frame, but most of my trade durations are around 2 hours long. So because I combine the 1 minute time frame with a higher time frame bias of where I'm expecting price to go. So I wouldn't class me as a scalper in the slightest, but I do trade the 1 minute time frame.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. I trade the I live and die by the M1 time frame. It's what's gotten me to where I am right now. And a part of the psychology also is that like if I'm wrong, then I've been able to capture a lot of success with M1 time frame. So if I'm wrong by it, then I'm okay with that, because it's something that I live and breathe by, right? Like it goes both ways. So I can't have it both ways, because before I was like kind of oscillating between like, okay, like should I like not be in the M1 time frame, because I keep getting like I have stretches where like I'm just like completely wrong on my read and blaming on M1. But I think you can't do that. You have to if your strategy and your edge supports the M1 time frame, then you have to just accept those losses, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm on the M1 time frame. Sometimes I'm holding like for the whole day. It's it can be pretty crazy, because on the M1 time frame, you can literally like pick out like so many places to like set your TP. But then someone like Kyle like hold until like, like time session liquidity, right? Like previous day high and so on. And so yeah, I mean, it's really like it, yeah, honestly, the saying of entries are science and exits are art. I live and die by that as well. I think it holds very true for me. And yeah, my M1 timeframes are very, very mechanical. But I think the hard part about trading, or not the hard part, but the challenging thing about trading is figuring out if you're going to hold to your TP, or if you're gonna, when do you trail your stop losses on the M1 time frame, because that can be tricky as well.
Yeah.
And so it's yeah, it's it, I'm just like I've been able to be on the right side of it and been able to manage my risk. But it can be like on the M1 time frame can be like if you're gonna hold for more than 5 minutes, like you said, like it can come all the way back to break even, and then you start and then the whole cycle of like negative thoughts start happening
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't like taking partials.
got a question from Manny.
Yeah, just kind of following on from what Ryan was saying, just a kind of question to that. You mentioned market conditions. How do you guys identify when market conditions are not right? Like, at what
Mm.
point do you recognize these are not my best market conditions? Is it after a string of losses? Is it when, for example, a change of policy of a government, president, whatever it may be? And when you do identify they're not your market conditions, do you take a break, or do you downsize, or do you have others? Do any of you guys have like different strategies or more than one strategy?
I have I think my view might be a bit unconventional. I think I trade NQ and ES mostly. I think in today's market condition, almost every day is a trade day. I taper my expectations based on my draw on liquidity. So if that draw on liquidity is low hanging fruit, then I basically negotiate myself that like I'm gonna take a trade and it might be a 30-point move versus a 100-point move. Depending, I'm just literally just kind of taking what the market gives me. I think the thing that I really like, to your point, how do you know when it's a low probability day? I just follow the wisdom of like not trading the day before CPI, not trading the day before NFP. I also don't trade the day of monthly OPEX. I don't trade the day of the last day of the quarter and also the last day of the month. And I don't trade the AM session before Powell and FOMC. So every month I have about 5 or 6 days off, and even more if there's a holiday where the stock market is not open. So to me, those are like my like low probability days. Even if there's crazy moves, even when VIX is above 20, the market is super efficient, like I just tell myself that like like I have to like honor that. I have to honor like my my word that like I'm gonna take these out, because again, like I said before, like we need structure in our life to trade to trade, right? Just like you need market structure to get into your entries. So to me, the low probability days are my days off. Also, if price like I also follow like TT trades like theory about like price expands from swing points. So like if there's 3 daily candles that has expanded, for example, I will typically be a bit suspect about how the daily bar will form, because I'm expecting consolidation, maybe a reversal, but definitely I know that for sure. Like if the market's choppy, like in the first, like if the market's choppy, my psychology gets wrecked. But also when the market's choppy in the first 45 to 60 minutes, like I kind of give up at that point. Like I'll settle for like low hanging fruit and just call it a day. And then obviously the market probably rips without me. But for me, the AM session is so important, I guess. The first 90 minutes is super important. But yeah, in terms of low probability conditions, like yeah, I would think about the macro calendar, and I would think about like where like if you can anticipate the daily candle, then I think you might be able to anticipate like a low probability day. Like again, like if prices already expanded for 3 days, like generally like after the swing point, you have kind of three candles that kind of expand. I also use an average daily range indicator. So like if the market has already expanded in the AM session, like I like and it's at a range where it's converging with the previous 21-day range in that direction anymore, because based on data, it suggests that range has been juiced, right? It's been topped. So yeah, I use the macro calendar to determine my days off, and then I also use data on the range. And
I'll jump in with that because I'm trading. So like right now I'd be getting short on the NQ and probably getting like 15, 20 points. And if I can do that 3 or 4 times in a day, you make good money, because I'd rather be in the trade the least amount of time and wait for pushes of like a long green candle, a long red candle to get out, because they'll retrace. So why go through the retracement when you can re-enter if it's still the same setup? But that's how I was taught by people from trading in the 80s and 90s, when the Nasdaq 1% move was basically 30 points. So now a 1% moves like 240 points. So then they took what they could get, and I'm still in that mindset because that's how I learned. But you can, with such big average ranges, you can get into many trades like that and be very profitable as well, instead of just holding one for a while. It's all how your mindset is and how you feel about trading.
Yeah, spot on.
You were looking at raid on liquidity, by the way, Ryan. Didn't quite get it, did we? On NQ. I think your mic's on mute.
You talking to me or Ryan?
Ryan.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I've been staring at NQ for the past hour.
It's
Looking at myself,
but I think I'm gonna have to agree with
rated.
Tom on this. It is bearish. Price action is gonna win this one, I think.
I actually agree with Tom. What just Tom you said.
Yeah.
Like I do think that every day is almost every day is a trading day. You just kind of take what the market gives you. Yeah, if it like for the most part the market's ranging, right? Like 70% of the time the market's ranging, and then the rest is expanding. So like if you're an ICT trader, like pretty lucrative, right? To be ranging 70% of the time, because that's basically the concept of ICT. And so yeah.
Well, yeah, because you got to look at the whole context of the market and what's going on. So you had the Fed come out yesterday. They basically said exactly what everyone thought. You had mixed earnings. You're at all-time highs, and you have this huge gap up from last week. So, and with Apple coming in and all the announcements of the investment with Nvidia and all these individual stocks, a lot of that stuff is already priced in now, or the short covering already happened. So to me, once I saw this come off the basically the opening price, when it came and tested it and came back down, and you got that second little high there, the lower high there, then I'm thinking, okay, well, you know what? You're probably just, the buyers aren't there. The buyers would have kept on pushing it after that first move down. And when that didn't happen, then you just kind of got to take what you can get. But the trend's probably going to be down.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
Normally, like for me now, looking at this, we're probably at an area now where I'd want to be buying, but looking at price action, the buyers just don't seem like they're there. I think we'll just continue down.
Yeah, I think the buyers already were there.
Yeah, and they're in
then
and
the
out.
people who were short already covered. I mean, that was a large gap up that's held since last week, and it just doesn't keep on going up and up and up. And it's just like how I said, on the long green and long red candles, you get in and out. I mean, that's the same concept on as looking at a daily versus a 1 minute chart. 1 minute chart, I'm looking to get in for the entry. I'm looking at the 3s and 5s for the trend. That's how I look at it.
We can go on for hours. We can go on for days. This is our passion. We love this game. And we've touched on so many important concepts, frameworks, experiences. And I'm very, very grateful for this call, for this opportunity for you guys. You guys that taking your time to share your experience as traders, as snipers, and I really appreciate you guys coming on. I really hope that I can still use this recording to for marketing and etc. But yeah, so thank you guys. I appreciate that. And for the snipers, you guys, your questions, you've stuck around for this long. It's it's been a fantastic conversation, really good roundtable. We definitely should do more in the future. Perhaps maybe not as long, perhaps maybe not during New York, as I've been told I'm always timing these calls at not the right times. So we'll do more in the future, of course. I think these conversations are important to this space that we have, this community, this transparency, this real talk, the real realities. It's very important. It's important discourse, and it's important, as Tom put it, trader therapy that we need. It's very difficult for people to understand us, family, loved ones. In fact, it's not really fair for them to try and understand this, or for less that's what this is what we use the community for. This is what the coaches are for. We deal with this burden of trading and all the stress that comes with it. We're doing it for them. We're doing it for our family. So then when it's time for, that's why it's important to really look after yourselves, guys. Really look after your mental health, your physical health. If you're struggling with something like psychological, mental, or whatever is going on, reach out to us, speak to someone. Don't suffer in silence. This is what these conversations are important, and that's what they're all about. So even if your program is coming to an end, like you're not going to get kicked out. You're still welcome. We're still available to provide you support. So let's make this community a community for ourselves, for each other, because it's important. We need this. Traders need these spaces, these roundtables. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and I hope that you didn't miss a trade because of this call.
No, Ryan took
Thanks,
them all, I
everyone.
guess. All right, have a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
See you around.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Thanks.
Bye.